advisory. Now we are talking about various technologies coming together, the various, we can say the OEMs of the companies, the various government departments to come together for to making this as a success. So what is your experience of dealing with various, let's say the ministries and with various technologies in implementation of the highways, the national highway?
Well, I think in this particular session we are talking of mobility and transport, so I'll rather switch to the transport and mobility side and usage of technology there. Definitely the technology has helped in improving the, rather opening up an entire sector of aggregation. That is where I was referring to the asset utilization aspect. The cars which were being typically used for maybe 100 kilometers, the taxis, when the street ride was there. So all these cabs now are being utilized for almost 200 to 240 kilometers. The trip times, we all know that the ride sharing has been a phenomenal success in the country, and it's going through that phase where we are going to have increased share of ride sharing services. I would slightly disagree with the presentation made earlier where we said that the public transport share is as high as 90%. Probably not. Ride sharing has, over the last 2-3 years, ride sharing share has increased commendably. And yes, it is right that the share of public transport is very low in the country, probably, and it needs to improve. So technology has played a very major role when we talk of the taxi segment. Technology has played also a major role when we talk of the goods segment now. There are large number of disruptions that are taking place in terms of aggregations, and that is helping to bring the overall logistic cost to a lower side. There are 3 or 4 specific issues which I would like to highlight with regard to technology in the automobile sector. Because of the technological advances, we have been able to improve safety. We have done recently a India-specific standard for cars, which probably will be alerting the drivers for when they are overspeeding, when they are not using the seat belts, and there are multiple issues which are there for strengthening the safety in cars. We would be bringing those features also for the other vehicles. The braking systems have been really improved, and that is where the technology has played its role. Even for two-wheelers also we have been able to do it. In future, my colleague Mr. Keshav, he spoke about the aspects in logistics sector. I think one of the imminent and immediate benefit that we might see in future is platooning. Platooning is something where we might see there is essentially those who are not really aware of the transportation. There is a 2-second or 3-second safety rule that has to be adhered to when you are traveling on road. If you are traveling at a speed of 80 kilometers per hour, the safe distance between the two vehicles has to be a 3-second rule. That means at about 80 kilometers per second, you are traveling about 22 meters. So the distance between two vehicles should be about 66 meters. Therefore, when you increase your speeds on highways, actually it's not that your throughput increases all the time. After reaching a particular optimal level, your throughput will go down, because the 3-second rule sets in, and then that is the kind of safe distance that is required to be maintained, because the vehicles are not communicating amongst each other. The moment vehicle starts communicating and there is a concept of platooning, then you can reduce the safe distance between the two vehicles. So you can have a platoon of 24 trucks going together one after other. The first truck is all along talking to the last 23 trucks behind it. And this is something which is very much possible and looks imminent in maybe near future. There are others also. When you talked about highway advisory, yes, I2V communication in an automated sense, not necessarily a manual intervention is required if there is a blockade on the road and all those things. We have recently done some pilots for toll plaza congestion and other things also. So all those things are possible, and then that's what will really help in improving or rather reducing the congestion on the roads, maybe city or highways, and maximizing the throughput of the highways.
Thank you very much. And when we talk about the Commerce Ministry, we have heard about the documentation part of it, which is the most wanted segment, that there has to be digitized documentation. So in the implementation point of view, within the country, is the ministry getting involved, or it is, as you said, there are few private agencies which are working, but end of the day, some government department has to take the lead. So you feel that there is some work being done to digitize those documents, dealing with the private or some public sector is working on it, or any government ministry is working on it?
Actually, my presentation was slightly vague for this kind of question. See, basically what I was talking about is that trade-related documents are not digitized globally. So there is a distinct move all across the globe to digitize it. There are certain players, international players, who are actually working in that domain. And then I took the name of Bolero and S-Doc and Evergreen, the 3 companies, Taiwan-based companies and 2 Hong Kong-based companies, which are actually doing bill of lading digitization. Yes, in India, what we are trying to do is that the document digitization is, in fact, documents are given by different departments and different trade entities. Some of the entities are not issuing it or not processing it digitally. So what we are trying to do is to influence all these entities to migrate onto digital platform, and also create a gateway through which a single common form can be prepared, and the relevant information required by these entities can be passed on so that they can process and then they can issue the documents.
Excellent, yeah.
I'd just like to elaborate on this particular point. See, if you look at any form, probably first 11 to 12 fields are common. So what he's saying is making a lot of sense, that every form will definitely ask for your name, address, gadi number, what is the content, and all those things. So at least first 11, only probably 1 or 2 items are there which are specific to that particular department. All other issues are common. So if what Keshav said is, if we can create a master data set, maybe requiring 55 data points, and then everybody takes its data points. 20 data points are required by one department, 23 by another. So this is what basically is going to help in digitization. Apart from that, we are also a signatory now to TIR convention. So the international freight is going to be a very, very important feature, where a cargo can directly move from any of the TIR signatory country, maybe in Europe and Central Asia, directly to India without any hassles. This is basically being administered by customs, but then this is going to be a big game changer for our exporters also, as well as for the imports, both segments.
Thank you very much. I think we've heard, from the Joint Secretary's concern, and of course, stainless steel, it was quite elaborate, and we really got the point, how actually converting most of the transports into steel will save the cycle cost of any owner, any government owner or otherwise. And it's the need of the hour. That's what we feel. And Cisco, of course, everybody knows, to be part of any networking that you talk about, any digital networking, wherever we use the network, Cisco is present everywhere. So wherever there is data communication, Cisco will always be there, and we understand Cisco very well. So I think with that, we come to the end of the session, and I leave the floor back to Sovik from elets. Yeah.